Hello, class. I just want to give you a few hints regarding the counseling techniques video for open and closed questions, as well as the reflections techniques too, as well. Um, One of the hardest things to learn is how to ask a certain type of question in counseling. And open and closed questions give students the biggest fits sometimes because they get them mixed up a lot of the times. You have to understand what the difference is between an open and closed question. First of all, an open question is constantly um, uh, trying to require more than a yes or no response. It encourages exploration and communication, and it clarifies different thoughts and feelings and attitudes. So, what happens is that we end up asking closed-ended questions a lot of times by contrast, and so then we kind of limit the exploration. Closed-ended questions typically get a yes or no answer back, and that while that might satisfy the counselor, it doesn't really help the client. And sometimes it doesn't satisfy the counselor, especially somebody like me, because when I'm asking questions, I want them to keep talking to me. Remember, they're the ones that are providing all of the stuff within the counseling session. They provide everything. It's not me. I basically am just clarifying and I'm trying to ask whatever questions in order to open them up. So how do we do that? What does an open-ended question look like? Well, an open-ended question looks something like this. It asks the question, so tell me a little bit more about your confusion. That's one way of asking something. Another way of asking that same question as an open-ended question is, I hear a lot of confusion coming from you, and I'm wondering, could you give me some of the feelings that you're having? Or are you aware of several feelings you might be having that are confusing to you? Another way of asking an open-ended question, tell me some of the conflicts that you seem to be having, um, uh, instead of just being angry. So that's another one because you see, I'm asking for more information, just yes or no. And a closed ended question would sound like this: are you just really angry? And so what do they say? They say yes or no. And then you're kind of stuck like, okay, so what do I ask now? And that's what I don't want you to get into. And I'll promise you that as you look back on your videos, and if you've ever practiced a counseling session or tried to do that with somebody, you're going to find that it comes to a dead halt. And now all of a sudden it's up to you to lead the session, and that's really not your job. Your role is to guide the session towards open exploration and clarification. That's what you're kind of looking for. Now, reflection of feelings. Um, Reflection of feeling is something that we know counselors for. It's something that stereotypically we're known for. It's kind of like the statement that you hear the most. So you feel like, and that's kind of a statement that most counselors are known for. Like I said, it's stereotypical. But it indicates that the counselor understands correctly, what the client is feeling, or maybe perhaps what their emotions are. And one of the things counselors do is to help clients identify and clarify their feelings by listening to what's being described back to them. Think about a mirror. We look at a mirror every single day. We notice all the zits and all the imperfections that we have on our body. We notice everything wrong about us before anybody else does. But also, what we're known for doing once we see those things is covering them up and hiding them. And so, typically, when a person enters into counseling, um, they're wanting to tell people what those imperfections are, but sometimes they've hidden them so well that they themselves don't even realize it anymore. And so, it's important that a counselor listens and with an open ear without trying to fix them in the first 2 or 3 minutes. It's important that we clarify and that we reflect back what we've heard to them. So this technique, reflection of feelings, basically reflects back to them exactly what the counselor hears them describing. Sometimes even putting a better word to it. A client might tell you, I'm just so scared. I'm just so scared. I don't know what to do. And it's just overwhelming to me. And I don't know what to do. And I might could use, an open-ended question that says, I wonder if you could talk to me a little bit more about some of those feelings and give me a description of some of the feelings you might be having. And so they describe them and describe them. And then the counselor uses reflection of feelings and they say, it really sounds to me like you're scared to death and you're just experiencing a lot of anxiety, you know, scared that you might lose something, scared that you might, get something, whatever that might be after listening to them. And they're going to usually, if you've done it correctly, um, uh, it enables them to think about their own feelings as a part of themselves, and to understand the next step towards identifying it and then fixing it. You don't know what's wrong until you identify it. And when I can come back to them and label it as anxiety or depression or anger or resentment, all those different types of feelings, they're like, I never have thought about it that way. Or sometimes they'll say, yeah, yeah, that's exactly what it is. Oh, thank you for putting a label to it. They're so grateful that you put something to it to help describe it. But even more so, more importantly, they don't even recognize, but sometimes they understand, this guy is really listening to me. This lady is really empathetic to my needs. This person really gets me. And there's nothing stronger to building a relationship than the client internalizing that the counselor in front of them is really listening to them. So that's what reflection of feeling is. It's more like, I hear you telling me that you're having feelings of anxiety, and it seems to me that those feelings are, and that's what you do, is describe the feelings. You do not go into, the question of, what do you feel anxious? What do you feel angry? Do you feel upset? Don't do that. That's a closed-ended question. You can see how just, it's almost invasive to ask a question like that, and it's aggressive, and abrasive as well. So anyway, that's reflection of feelings, and hopefully you'll get that pretty well. Do your best to just give me that technique. Just stop what's going on and say, here's my attempt at reflection of feelings, and I'll know then exactly what it is. Keep your videos short. And upload them, and I'll get to and look at the rubrics, because, by the way, I grade by the rubrics. You'll see that, and how I graded you. Okay, talk to you later. Bye bye.